Jason has been kind enough to take a bit of time out of his evening to join us on WAFL World. Jason Salecic, head coach of West Perth, is here. Hello, Jason.
G'day, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us tonight. We won't beat around the bush. Let's get straight to it. There's uncertainty around your future as head coach at the club. Before the game against Claremont on the weekend, you spoke to your players that it may be your last game as head coach. Those were the reports. So, was it your last game as head coach at West Perth?
Look, I was informed early in the week that it was unlikely that I'd get a contract for next year, and that's just being honest. And I want to let my players know that because I have really strong relationships with them. I just want to be truthful to them as a club. I really care about our people. That's our culture, and I thought it was appropriate that I let those players know that if I wasn't going to get that contract extension and potentially the club moving forward as of next week, as of this week, if that was likely that they were going to move me on and was going to be my last game, I thought it was important that they knew that because I have had, a lot of guys within that group. I know there's 7 of the guys in that playing group on the weekend that played in the reserves grand final and have had a fair influence on their careers to date. And I think it's important that they knew that it could be the end, and if it was, that we got to share that moment together. And it was an intimate conversation I had with the players, and obviously that got leaked out to different sources, and there was comments made about it. And from my point of view, I was never giving up on my players, and if that's the case, then that's the decision that the club makes for the people that are in charge, and I think it's just important that they know that I care about them.
Sure. So that was the situation on Saturday, and obviously the background to where we've got to today. What's your status at the moment then?
Very similar. Highly unlikely.
So you haven't resigned, they haven't tapped you on the shoulder, so you're basically...
I definitely haven't resigned. Brett probably knows a bit more than me. He's pretty closely linked to a few of the people that are above me, so he might have some more information on that. I don't know, Brett, do you? You'd have to probably ask Brett the question. Right,
okay. So as far as you're aware, you're the West Perth coach at the moment, but things are looking pretty cloudy in the immediate future from what your understanding of the situation.
Yeah, absolutely. Just wanting to make sure that the players, most importantly, they're the ones that are going to be heavily impacted. At clubs, shaped a lot of people that are involved at the footy club at the moment, and those players are heavily impacted by decisions that get made, and a lot of those people have, been at the football club, established really strong values. We're big on trust, and they're going to be heavily impacted by decisions that get made, and I think that my agenda all along has only been about my people and helping them. So until that day that I'm done, and I'm sure we'll get an answer pretty soon, I'll stick with my people and I'll continue to help them even post whatever happens.
Jason, it's Brett. I just want to clarify a few things there. I don't know what's going on. I'm like everybody else, to be honest, and purposely haven't responded to messages and innuendo during the last few days. But I do want to ask you, have you got any more clarity? Did you hear from the CEO or the president since Saturday? Because whether it's how it got out or why it's out, it doesn't matter. It's there's a discussion around your future, and I'm interested to know has someone from a senior position spoken to you directly since Saturday? Directly. Yep, I've had those conversations. Yep.
Jason, why do you think it's got to this? You were part of a very clear succession plan with Darren Harris when he came in 4 years ago. You did an apprenticeship. You played. You coached the reserves for a year. You were an assistant under Harris, who's a highly successful coach. And you've got to a situation now where Brett went through the list of injuries, and you lost players in the 2 mid-season drafts in your 2 years. Why has it got to where it is today, do you think?
There's obviously been a lot of challenges along the way, and that's obviously clearly highlighted by the personnel that we've had out in the field. And like I said, we had 7 reserves players play out there on the weekend. We had 2 Colts eligible players, We had another couple of players that were new to our program, one this year, one last year. That's 11 players that have played under 35 games. And if you go back to probably East Fremantle and how they transitioned those players into premiership players and where their direction was heading under Bill Monahan, you can see like it takes time to get these players to the level that they can compete consistently. And I think results have obviously a big impact on where we're at in terms of my position at the club. People who make those decisions decide on, if those results aren't acceptable or not. And I think it's pretty clear that it's been challenging. One thing that I'm really grateful for is the support that I've had from players, parents of players, supporters, sponsors, coaches, past coaches, Geesh, Harrow, John Dimmer. They've all been in the seat. So they know the challenges that we face in these scenarios where it's not perfect. And I think that where we're heading and hopefully the future of the football club is in good hands of whatever happens next. But those guys completely understand where it sits. I'm really comfortable with what I've done for the football club, and I won't be lost to it either. I want to make sure that whatever happens from here on in, our club's in good hands, and the people that we completely trust and that share our values are staying at our club and take our club forward.
What's your self-assessment of how you've performed as head coach over the last year and a half, Jason?
Always learning, mate. I coached the reserves to a grand final in 2023. I was very fortunate to have a good crew of kids that, like I said, there's a number of them that's still playing now. And I think my assessment comes from the players that gave me feedback, like a Kane Devon, sent me a message today of a letter that I wrote him before that grand final and how much I trusted him and believed in him. And when you get that back, I just feel like I've had an impact. So all I wanted to ever do was help these players succeed, and I feel like I've helped those kids grow as people first, and then as players second. So that's my assessment.
Is there training tonight?
I believe so. Yeah.
Are you taking training?
Just taking a day off.
Okay.
Yeah, just the mental health week this week. So
yeah,
taking a day off.
Yeah. I mean, you went through a bit of that. You talked about the challenges that you've had, and yet you said that they've told you that you're unlikely to get a contract for next year. Does that clearly that tells you that the board's lost confidence in your capacity for next year? Why have they got to that? Or have they just failed to understand the reality of where your list is at with the injuries and the various challenges you've had?
You probably have to ask them, John.
Yeah.
If you remain on as coach, and I'm sure that is your goal, Jason, what are your plans for the rest of the year, and where do you see the club going moving forward?
If I was to stay on, we'd be looking to make improvements in our growth areas, which is the combative side of our game. Like it's clear that our kids need to grow. They're not quite there yet, and to be able to have consistency with their performances and not rely on our past greats to shoulder loads, they will need to go to work. And that may have had an impact on our performances for the rest of the year, but that was important that we were going to make those gains. And that would set us up for next year, along with some recruiting, which is required. We haven't done enough of that over the past, and obviously one that we did recruit this year. Clearly, he's gone from the VFL program into our program. He's had some growth, and now he's on an AFL list. No different to Scafey last year. We had growth. Come out of our Colts program, didn't understand what the level required. We didn't work with him. He grew as a person. He grew as a player, and now he's on an AFL list. So they're the things that you gain confidence in, and I reckon that's the need that we have for us going forward as a footy club, is just to help those young men grow.
Well, Jason, we are so thankful for you to come on tonight. Understand it's extremely difficult circumstances for you, but thank you very much for taking the time, and all the best for your future.
Great. Thank you very much.
Cheers. Thanks for that.
Jason Salecic here on WAFL World tonight.